Tell me something. Have you ever looked around at your life and quietly wondered, what is the Lord doing with my life? Maybe the season that you're in doesn't look like the one you just left. For example, your children are grown and so your home feels different, or your work has shifted and you and your husband are stepping into a new chapter together. Or maybe it's not one big dramatic change. It's just that quiet sense that life is asking you to pay attention in a new way. You may be thinking about starting a business, writing a book, leading something at church, or maybe finally giving attention to something that God placed on your heart years ago. It could be anything like that. But somewhere in the middle of all that, the question comes, is God leading me into something new? Personally, I have had seasons where I thought I understood exactly where my life was going, and then God began shifting things, not always loudly, not always quickly, but enough for me to pause and ask, Lord, what are you doing with my life? Where are you leading me? So if you've been in that place, this video is for you. Sometimes when we get to this season of life as women 50 and older, we can feel like we missed something or it's time to wind down. But this season may not be about winding down at all. It may be a season where God is bringing together your wisdom, experience, gift, and faith into something deeply meaningful. And so instead of asking, am I too late? Maybe the better question is, Lord, what have you been preparing me for? Hello, my beautiful sisters. Welcome back to Grace, Truth, and Love. I'm Kimberly, Elise, and I am so glad that you're here with me. You know, I want to talk about this because when we're in a new chapter, it's really easy to assume that something is ending. And sometimes something is ending. You know, a role may be changing, a familiar pace may be shifting, a responsibility that shaped our lives for years may not need us in the same way. And that can feel strange. But change doesn't always mean loss. Sometimes change creates room to hear God more clearly, to use gifts that have been waiting, to care for our health, or use wisdom in a way that we never had before. Psalm 92, 12 through 14 says, the righteous shall flourish like a palm tree. He shall grow like cedar in Lebanon. Those who are planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our God. They shall still bear fruit in old age. They shall be fresh and flourishing. I love that phrase. They shall still bear fruit. That doesn't sound like a life that's finished to me. That sounds like continuing growth, strength, and usefulness in the Lord. And faithfulness can look different from woman to woman. For example, for one woman, it may be launching something new. For another, it may be strengthening her marriage, writing, or just taking better care of her body so that she has the strength for what God is asking her. It doesn't have to look one way or the other. But it is worth asking, Lord, what does fruitfulness look like for me now? I want to offer 3 things to consider as you pray through that question. 1, the years behind you may be preparation. One of the things that I love about Scripture is that God doesn't seem nearly as concerned with our timing as we are. You know, we often think meaningful assignments have an expiration date, but in the Bible, some of the most significant callings came after years of preparation. Think about Sarah. She was not young when God fulfilled his promise through her. And Naomi's life, it didn't end with grief. Her later chapter still held redemption, family, legacy. Anna, who served faithfully for many, many years, and when Jesus came, she was spiritually alert enough to recognize him. When I look at scripture, I don't see age as a reason to assume the meaningful part of my life is over. I see God working through people in different chapters, often after years of shaping, and that encourages me. The years behind us, they're not just memories, they may be preparation. The responsibilities we carry, the disappointments we survived, the relationships that shaped us, and the lessons that we learned, and even the places where God had to heal us, all of that can become wisdom in His hands. And wisdom is not small. Wisdom, it helps us to know what matters, to make better choices, to love with more compassion, to lead with greater patience, and to just speak from a deeper place. So instead of asking, did I miss my chance? Maybe we can ask, Lord, what have you been preparing me for? 2, a new chapter may still require strength. Sometimes, have you noticed that sometimes people talk about this stage of life as though everything becomes quiet and passive? But many women aren't stepping aside, they're stepping into something new. Leading a ministry, really focusing on mentoring younger women, all of that takes energy and courage. Caring for loved ones, rebuilding your health, that demands real focus. I was a caretaker, I know about that. So no, it's not about just sitting around being wise. Wisdom matters. Prayer is vital. Stillness is powerful. But some assignments also require movement and planning, courage, discipline, follow through. One of the gifts of this season is our strength can become more focused. When we were younger, and I'm sure many of you can attest to this, we may have said yes to too much and an effort to prove ourselves, or carried things that were never ours to carry. But with time and prayer and maturity, we can begin to discern what truly deserves our attention. That kind of strength is different. It's not frantic, it's focused. It's not about impressing everyone. It's about being faithful to what God is actually asking of us. And sometimes the most powerful thing a woman can say in this season is, Lord, I do not need to do everything. I just want to do what you are leading me to do. Purpose is both what you do and who you become. Number 3. When we talk about purpose, it's really easy to think only about the outward things, the business, the ministry, the family, the marriage, the home. And of course, we have to prioritize those things. And I also believe that God cares about who we are as His daughters, who we are becoming as He leads us forward in those things. Are we allowing Him to grow us in love, patience, trust, wisdom, and character? That question keeps purpose from becoming only about achievement, because a woman can be busy and still not be peaceful. She can be productive and still be driven by fear. She can be serving others and still feel disconnected from the Lord. So yes, we need to build what God is leading us to build, serve where He is calling us to serve. If you feel called to start a business or write a book, pour into your family or strengthen your health, step into that new assignment. But let the Lord shape you in the process. A fruitful life is not just full, it's surrendered. So if you are in a new chapter, I want to offer you one question to carry with you this week. What does fruitful obedience look like for me now? Not 20 years ago, not in someone else's life, now. Fruitful obedience may look like taking that first step toward a dream you've been delaying, or making a decision that supports your health, saying yes to leadership, or saying no to something that drains you. It may also be as simple as praying over an idea, making a plan, asking for counsel, or just getting quiet enough to hear what the Lord has been stirring in you. Bring it before the Lord for His perfect clarity. Know that you are not too old invisible, or disqualified. You are a woman who can seek the Lord right where you are and ask Him for the next faithful step. I don't know exactly what this season looks like for you. Maybe it feels exciting. Maybe it feels uncertain. Maybe it feels like a mixture of both. But I do know this. A changed season does not mean an empty season. God can bring purpose into places we did not expect. He can use lessons we didn't even know were preparing us. He can give courage where we have felt hesitant and clarity where we have felt unsure. So don't rush to label this chapter as too late, too quiet, too old, or too far from what you imagined. Bring it to the Lord. Ask Him what He is doing. Pay attention to what He keeps placing in your heart. And when He gives you light for the next step, take it. Not the whole staircase, just the next step. This is the kind of encouragement that I love to share here on Grace, Truth, and Love. I really love helping Christian women on their walk with the Lord, offering faith, wisdom, courage, and purpose in every season of life, with a special emphasis on women over 50 like myself, but I serve all women. If this encouraged you, I'd love for you to subscribe and join me again. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me, what is one thing that you sense God may be stirring in you in this season of your life? And you don't have to share anything personal. In fact, you shouldn't. It could be just one word, like healing, health, ministry, courage, clarity, or peace. And if you know a woman who may be quietly asking, Lord, what now? Please share this video with her. Perhaps it'll edify her. Thank you for spending this time with me. And remember, my dear sister, God is not finished with you. This season is ripe for being strong, meaningful, fruitful, and full of purpose in Him. I will see you next time, God willing, on Grace, Truth, and Love. Until then, God bless you and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.